Oh man, I cried 3 times already today. I cried at the drums earlier. It was Jimi Hendrix's nephew, I heard. Holy sh... yeah. My wife and I have 3 amazing humans at home. There's a lot of superhero conversation happening around our dinner table. So it's not infrequent that I get asked the question, Dad, what's your superpower? I typically choose something like X-ray vision or super speed. On one of these occasions, I seriously thought to myself for a minute and I said, my superpower is design. They looked at me like, you're a nerd. I started lecturing them about design and they tuned me out in about 30 seconds. But it's true. Design really is a superpower. And like the late, great Stan Lee said, with this power comes great responsibility. This couldn't be more true than in 2019. Over the last 2 decades, technology has changed everything. News, transportation, shopping, health, friendships, family. A British study found that we check our phones 220 times a day. It's twice as often as we think we do. What we want is for technology to empower us. But the digital world, as we've designed it, is dictating the rhythms of our lives and benefiting some more than others. Technology has changed the daily rhythms of our lives faster than we saw it coming, faster than we can realize the consequences. I'm here today with a call to action for designers of digital technology who have more power to influence than ever before. It's our time to take responsibility for the things we create and the impact that they have on human lives. But first, I want to tell you a story of what led me to a life of purpose in design. Growing up in Kansas in the 80s and 90s, skateboarding was my religion. Back then, skating was not widely accepted like it is today. There were no skate parks or pools where we lived, so my friends and I were street skaters. A pack of cigarette-smoking misfits, hiding from the cops, looking for skatable curbs and railings we could bomb. Our soundtrack was punk, post-punk, and rap music. This is back when hip-hop was called rap music, to be clear. But the music that fueled us was about poverty and boredom and injustice. It was infused with metal and reggae and funk. It was rich with urgency and substance. Music was cherished in my household, and my father's records, sacred. I have strong memories of him down in the basement, carefully winding and splicing reel-to-reel tapes. This is his handwritten catalog of every album he owned. Velvet Underground. For me, the music itself and the album art were like one and the same. And I spent hours exploring each one, reading the liner notes, and studying the artwork. Skateboarding had its very own aesthetic, its own ethical code and ideology. It was about experimenting, making something out of nothing, and having a point of view. This way of being was embodied visually in fashion and stickers and board graphics and magazines. And as my friends and I were looking for common language and a sense of belonging, these symbols, these graphic design elements united us. Design gave us an identity. This realization led me to study design in college, where my professors shared rich stories and evocative graphics from Russia, Holland, and Switzerland. I learned about design's ability to create conversation and galvanize people around a shared vision. When I was introduced to the Bauhaus, everything changed for me, and I'll tell you why. So, during the Industrial Revolution, the arts and crafts movement sprung up in reaction to the rise of the machine. But in post-war Germany, a group of idealistic artists and designers embraced modern technology. The Bauhaus denounced designers as decorators. They created a new unity between art, design, and technology, incorporating materials from industrial manufacturing into household furniture and architecture. They emphasized the social function of design, stressing affordability and efficiency with materials and visual elements. In an era of ornamentation, this utopian vision and this simple aesthetic was revolutionary. And then I fell under the spell of Dieter Rams, who spoke of designers as creative engineers. His philosophy centered around a less but better essentialism and a responsibility to create products that are more sustainable and less problematic for the environment. He said, design should not dominate people, it should help people. But what stole my attention was how his aesthetic and his ethic were aligned. He leveraged technology in a purposeful way to create an innovative aesthetic that was centered around human needs. These visionary designers opened my eyes. I thought design was about cool skate graphics. But I started to realize it was much more powerful, that design is a responsibility. That design shapes our future. I burst out of design school with grand plans of changing the world and making a difference. And then reality struck. And I spent the next 10 years hustling and struggling to make a career. Jump to 2011, and I've just merged my design studio with a small web development shop. We had spent about a year designing and building a new office space. 3 months after we merged, at 10 p.m. on the 4th of July, this happened. When the firefighters let us back in the office, this is what we walked into. We were devastated. 2 weeks later, we moved into this warehouse and we started rebuilding. And over the last 8 years, our company has evolved time and time again, always with an eye towards the future. Today, we're a digital brand and product innovation company, employing over 200 creative technologists. We apply our superpowers by solving complex problems for ambitious organizations. After 20 years of building brands, platforms, and experiences, if you haven't noticed, I really love design. It impacts every moment of our lives. It makes you feel things. It's an incredibly powerful social influencer. It helps us navigate complex systems, and it shapes the future. But right now, today, we urgently need design, and we need it to work for us. In our new digital reality, there's no shortage of problems to solve. The success of technology today is tied to time spent by users, as opposed to the benefit it can deliver to humans. Ex-Google ethicist Tristan Harris says we're designing for dopamine. It's the race to the bottom of the brainstem to get people's attention. There's a rapidly growing awareness that our digital well-being is at risk, that our valuable attention is getting hijacked. We often talk about the sleek, seamless benefits that technology provides us, but we don't hear about how new tech is amplifying our biases, or how it often makes things better for one community while making them worse for others. Take, for example, the challenges at Nextdoor. They've been rolling out newly designed forms that are attempting to correct an app that has enabled racial profiling by its users. Or the sexist features in women's health apps like Glow and Eve. It's a running joke that it's not hard to spot a fertility tracking app that's designed by a man. Countless examples of blind spots are bubbling to the surface. People are waking up and reevaluating their relationships with technology. The tech companies, which have been shocked by negative publicity, are thinking deeply about their role in society, and they're looking for new solutions to live up to their responsibilities. Both Google and Apple have released features for regulating screen time and suppressing notifications. They're now competing, racing to see who is going to put the human at the center faster and better. But we're just rounding the corner, and everyone has a role to play. Engineers, consumers, journalists, policymakers, but designers. Designers are uniquely positioned. We're on the inside. We're the wolf in sheep's clothing. We have domain expertise, and we're working on the front lines. Our knowledge, our awareness, and our values are baked into every user journey, every push notification, and every glowing icon that we create. This means that designers have the privilege and the burden of wielding more power to influence than ever before. It's time for us not to ignore it, not to play the victim, but to embrace technology and shape it forward. Going back to Dieter Rams, it's time for us to leverage technology in a purposeful way. So how do we build a future that empowers human needs and champions diverse perspectives? There are new design frameworks and ethical design toolkits coming out every single day. These tools are really encouraging, but they will be much more helpful once we address the critical knowledge gaps in our industry. I believe that first we must demand that designers become more comprehensively educated. We must become students of humans in every aspect and understand the systems of power at play. Designers need to get out of their comfort zones and expand their knowledge base. We know design history, typography, aesthetics, hex colors, navigation patterns, and responsive grids. We need to know world history, ethics, neuroscience, inclusion, cognitive bias, and systemic inequality. Ambitious? Yes. I'm not here to talk about easy wins. We're talking about reinvention. Architects need a degree, a license, and they follow strict building codes. They have a contract with the public that says they'll look after your welfare. Web and product design is notoriously DIY. It's the Wild West. In the tech world, dropping out of school to start a company is a badge of honor. PayPal founder Peter Thiel's foundation will literally give you $100,000 to drop out of school. I took this screenshot from their homepage yesterday. But guess what? It turns out learning from the past is actually really important. Seeing many different perspectives is actually really important. In order for us to impact the consequences of our design decisions, we must seek understanding of the historical, cultural, and economic context for our work. elevate the curriculums with foundations in ethics and neuroscience, build diverse teams that improve collective decision-making, and empower individuals within our organizations with the responsibility of leading this charge. When the design world saw industrial manufacturing as the beginning of the end, the Bauhaus turned the problem into a solution, producing incredible new things with glass, steel, and concrete. Our raw materials today are data, awareness, and hindsight. It is our time to leverage these resources and use our superpowers for good. Believe me, the tectonics are rattling. Designers, let's not squander this opportunity to learn and evolve, to reimagine the design industry and put the human back at the center. Thank you.